Hello folks, my name is Mark and I'm making this video regarding Bigfoot, specifically the footprints. I'm going to call this the case for Bigfoot Part 1 Footprints. I know there's 10,000 other videos out there on the subject. I thought I would kind of start a little series, and let me start by saying I'm not a field researcher or an expert at all on Sasquatch or the paranormal. I'm a person who has a fascination on the subject, and for many years have studied it over and over and over. And I'm a scientific and analytical person. I'm not someone that just believes in something right away. My reason for making this video is to put together a compilation of information to further build the case for Bigfoot, which in my opinion is real. Asking questions that just don't stand up to any form of common sense. That's kind of what I want to do is get you thinking when we're asking these questions, and some of them are just simple questions that just don't make any sense when you ask them. To further the debate and increase the awareness of the very real possibility we are not alone and very strange things exist. I believe the Sasquatch people, not apes, I don't believe that they're apes, I believe they're people, and are alive and well. So let's start off with a little bit of footprint action here. There have been thousands of footprints collected over the years. These by themselves don't prove there is a 1,000-pound bipedal giant roaming the forests, but let's take a closer look. When these footprints are discovered, it's customary to look for certain characteristics: the mid-tarsal break, the depth of the track, the toes, the width of the heel, length to width ratio, and the size, and most importantly, the dermal ridges. Another very important aspect of these tracks is finding them in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles from nowhere. Would it make sense to make fake tracks where it would be impossible to find them? Wouldn't some fakers want to put them next to a park or similar? Wouldn't it be a lot easier? Jimmy gets off the swing, runs over by the fence. Oh my God, Mom, I see a huge footprint. These tracks are being found accidentally in the middle of nowhere. These are rhetorical questions, of course, in my mind, but looking at it through this lens makes it less and less likely that they're being faked. A police detective named Jimmy Chilcutt, who specializes in primate forensics, studied 150 casts gotten from Jeff Meldrum. Everybody knows who these two are in the Bigfoot world, if you study this subject. His results were unbiased, in my opinion, and very eye-opening. He discovered the dermal ridges of the foot run in parallel with the length of the foot. They were much bigger and thicker than a human, and were like nothing he has ever seen. His conclusion was this was from a real species which had very thick skin, which makes sense. Something that's walking around barefoot in the middle of nowhere would need really thick skin. He pored over them thoroughly and put his name and reputation on the line. Brings up another point. If you're walking barefoot in the snow 100 miles from nowhere, why would you do that? If it's 20 below, why would you walk barefoot in the snow in the middle of nowhere? You wouldn't. Another compelling aspect of trackways found is the same foot is discovered one after another, but it's in different configurations and patterns. Some show the foot slipping, some with scrunched toes, some kicking sand out from a toe or a digit, but it's the same foot in many, many variations with the same dermal ridges and identifiers such as scars and what have you, not a stamp. A wooden cutout would be the exact same with zero articulation or any high level of natural detail. Bigfoot's gait is like no other, apparently. They walk in a tightrope-like fashion, and when the prints are found, they're found 48 to 75 inches apart, indicating a very tall creature with a very long stride. Would a faker have time to make a very detailed, flexible foot with a mid-tarsal break, scars, and other unique attributes? This would take serious knowledge and time to make. Then, how would you explain him or her achieving the stride and the depth into the earth with absolutely no other evidence of human traffic around the prints, until obviously the person who finds them gets there and then disturbs the area? A person would have to have a very hard time running to achieve this stride. You can't achieve it just walking. I've seen it attempted. I've even tried it myself. It's impossible. Also, the bigger the displacement of the foot, the harder it would be to achieve the needed depth or the compression of the track. Think of it of a spike going into the ground versus pushing a 2x2 piece of plywood into the ground as an exaggerated example. Would a faker take the time to figure out the needed force to compress the earth with his track? Even if they made a fake foot costing thousands of dollars with no way of recouping that money, would they be able to articulate and achieve all the variables in different terrains? And why would they spend all this time and money and put tracks in the middle of nowhere to work on a subject that no one believes in, apparently, with no financial gain whatsoever? One measurement or one piece of evidence doesn't prove something is real, although a court of law would disagree. Science needs repeatable tests, facts, and samples. When you look at all the evidence just regarding footprints over the last 60 to 100 years, it gets harder and harder to disprove the footprints. In fact, I would say it would be harder to prove that they are not real at this point than real. And remember, it only takes one single footprint for it all to be real. Okay, thank you. I'll see you on the next one.